Ali, welcome again to the Gaia's Ensign's 13th Annual Women's Conference.
I'm so excited to be here with all of you women today. I want to talk a little bit about thriving and rising above adversity today. So that's where we're going to go. That's the gist of where I'd like to take this, how to rise above adversity and live the life of your dreams. We all face adversity in our lives. And so I felt like this was a really great topic to talk about since the theme was Be Relentless. I've been a restaurant franchise in Northern Alberta actually for 17 years now, which is pretty wild. Now, my primary focus in that time was on creating an extraordinary team culture, but not just a culture, one that rippled into a prosperous business model for everybody involved. I really wanted to help leaders understand the importance of self-awareness and intention. And with that, in 2020, I founded The Inspired Leader to empower female professionals who are struggling with overwhelm, help them gain the skills to thrive and get back to doing the work that they love. So I believe we will all face adversity in our lives. And for many of us, that will start out really young. How we choose to move through and process adversity, that really shapes up our reality. The images of these young girls, you know, each of them has a story. Each has had a life experience that has begun to shape who they are. And you might even see yourself in some of them. You might be reminded of what it was like to grow up as a young woman in the community you lived in. And this young woman, this is me. And this is my favorite uncle. I love him so much. So I had to put a picture of him up today. But I would never have guessed that by the time I was 18, that I would have experienced a broken family, loss, financial struggle, run-ins with the law, and sexual abuse. That was my reality. And it was challenging because I felt like adversity was all around me. I kind of figured that I was destined to just simply be, to be a survivor, to scrape by, to stand aside while everybody else went out and achieved their dreams. And I want to share with you some strategies as to how to thrive in your own life. Now, we want to try and look at these marks without judgment. Now, I believe these samskaras, or these marks, are the makeup of who we are today. And so for me, learning who I am has been a journey. So I want to cover 3 things today, how a change in perspective can go a long way when we're facing adversity. I want to talk about 3 strategies to overcome significant life challenges. And then I want to talk finally about embracing adversity as an opportunity for growth. When adversity enters your life, it brings with it chaos, uncertainty, and change. Easy to feel like you're spinning your tires in this state. So this is why slowing down, taking a breath, find your new coordinates. This can be so helpful when adversity enters your life. As with anything in life, there can be ups and downs. It can be a roller coaster ride. Sometimes, some days it might actually feel like this, but more often than not, well, let's just say it can get pretty wild, right? So the key here is understanding that self-kindness and self-compassion are paramount. And now when challenges enter our lives, when we have a really bad day coming up against adversity, it helps to remember that every day is a new opportunity to start again. There shouldn't be an expectation that every day should be perfect. Some days will just be more successful than others, and other days will be downright challenged to the core. We can always go to bed and we can wake up the next day and choose to see the world through a new lens. It's very empowering when we can start to look at our life and live this way. And the 4th one I'd like to share with you, and I'm aware this isn't always possible, but when we can bring a little lightheartedness into the situation, it can really help us start to see that there's a possibility to move through what's happened in your life. I think sometimes when facing adversity, it can feel like it's never going to end. We end up in a place in our minds and our hearts that we can become stuck. And ladies, stuck is not a good place to be, right? We really want to try and avoid that if we can. It's a universal law that everything is continually evolving and changing. So the adversity that we're facing, it's likely not going to last forever, and it just might pass a little quicker with a lighter heart. Adversity can come into our life for a short time, or sometimes it's here to stay for a while, and there's nothing we can do about that. And so the question becomes, how do we be relentless? How do we stay relentless in the face of adversity? How do we continue to move towards a thriving life when adversity never seems to go away? And if we don't have something else to draw on, we might become stuck in that adversity that we're facing. And I think it's dependent on a few factors. One, the degree to which the adversity has affected your life. Number two, the length of time it's been going on. And number three, how prepared are you to face the adversity and to move through it? Sometimes I think we need to be, right? We need to process, we need to come to terms with the adversity we're facing, and maybe even grieve, right? What's transpired in our lives. So it's important to understand that to overcome adversity, we must be ready, committed to getting to the other side. Which brings me to the first strategy, and that was to keep a positive mindset. Now, a healthy dose of optimism, it goes a long way when you're faced with a really tough situation. Of course, it's true. You have to be realistic. So don't get me wrong, ladies. But if you're constantly looking at everything in a negative way, you'll only see the bad, right? Now, I think the first thing to know about a positive mindset is that it does not mean that you ignore facts or logic or force yourself to only have positive emotions. That is not realistic. A positive mindset means that you're able to look beyond the crisis or the adversity rather than becoming all consumed by it. I've talked about being stuck a couple times, and it's really not a good place to be. Now, trust me, I know that that's not always easy. And you might have to acknowledge it, and you might have to process the negative aspects before you can really start to cultivate this. But the power of a positive mindset, it can not only impact your mental health, it can also impact your physical health, which you need at a high level when you are facing major adversity in your life. A positive mindset can thinking and problem solving, it can lower your blood pressure, it can give you a stronger immune system, it can lower the risk of depression, it can increase your ability to adapt to change, and as I already said, it can help you have better stress management and coping skills in tough times. And that, ladies, is so important. The thing about adversity is, like, when you feel like every door is being closed in your face, it can be so hard to stay positive. So I get it. So when we're facing adversities in our life, we need to employ these multiple strategies. We need to think in different ways so we can allow ourselves the best chance to push through and have that successful, thriving life that we all want. So that brings me to strategy number 2, which was I refuse to give up. And ladies, this is an important one if you face major life adversity. And so what does it mean for us when we refuse to give up in the face of adversity? Well, you show yourself in the world that you are strong, that you have resilience, that you have the tenacity to get what you want out of life, and you show up when it's hard. You become a role model for other women when they need it most, even if you don't realize it at the time. I tell you, ladies, life is not always going to be easy. In fact, for some of us, it might rarely be easy. So I always love looking to other inspiring women who have shown us the power of that refusal to give up when adversity strikes. I find that really empowering and motivating. Even in the face of life-changing adversity, we are and always will be hardwired for connection. Oftentimes in the face of adversity, we forget that we have amazing people in our lives, people that will, under any circumstance, surprise you as to the lengths to which they're willing and able to help you. It's a reminder that there's good in the world, that there are good people. Even when everything seems to be falling down around you, if we can choose to see the good, it can change so much. Which brings me to strategy number 3, which is practice gratitude along the way. Now, gratitude has been, in my opinion, the single biggest contributing factor to the success I have had in my life. I'll say that again. Gratitude has been the single biggest contributing factor to the success I have had in my life, because when you are grateful, it is very hard to be in a place of lack. When you are grateful, it's hard to be angry. And when you are grateful, it's hard not to believe in the possibility that the future might hold for you. And so this is why gratitude has been the strategy that has carried me through. And there are countless studies out there on gratitude that affirm the impact it can have on your life. Gratitude, it's been proven to strengthen your relationships, encourage humility, increase fulfillment, reduce selfishness. It increases your empathy. It increases your self-esteem. Do you see anything there that could help with adversity? I mean, I sure do. Do you practice gratitude? And if you don't practice gratitude every day, I thought I could talk about how to practice it, because there are so many ways. And I think the important thing to know is that there's no right or wrong way. I think the key is to connect with the feeling gratitude creates in your body, in your mind, in your heart. To simply think I'm grateful, it's likely not going to be enough, especially in times of this like life-changing adversity. We need to feel it. We need to bring it into our heart. That is the key. It is a thing of beauty to see it unfold. And it's life-changing when you learn how to connect with that feeling. Now, some of the ways I love to connect with gratitude are journaling, which is quite simple. I like to start the day with 3 things I'm grateful for. I don't do it every day. I'm not perfect. I'm human. But when I do it, it sets my day up so beautifully. Now, this photo, this is the last selfie I took with my husband in Japan before he became ill. Now, over the past 5 years, I've been documenting the moments that we can be grateful for and sharing them with him. Moments like our vacations. Hawaii has always been a favorite place for us to go together. We love the turtles. We love the whales. Of course, we've had so many adventures to other lands, from the oceans to the mountains to good old NYC. We've been practicing gratitude for it all. Now that brings me to the final part of today's talk, which is to embrace adversity as an opportunity for growth. Now, I want to say this is usually a strategy that comes later when facing adversity. And as I mentioned at the start, we will have to employ multiple strategies to navigate adversities that we're going through in our lives, right? And to get to a place where we can see an adversity as an opportunity for growth, we first must grieve any loss, and we need to come to terms with what that new reality might look like. There's a big difference between change and transformation. Let me explain this. So change, it happens first outside of a person. It's an external event that brings upon change in our life. It brings upon this inflection, right? For me, it was my husband becoming ill and our whole life being turned upside down. Then there's the transition. So this is the process that happens inside. This is how we navigate adversity. This is how it shows up in our lives. It's how we work through the process and come to terms with what is being presented. And this was everything I just tried, everything I utilized to navigate this inflection in my life. It's how I face this adversity, and it's how you will face yours. And then there's transformation. And if we can find ways, if we can harness strategies that help us lean into adversity and into the adversity that shows up in our lives, we then have the potential for transformation. And transformation is one of the most incredible things you will ever experience in your life. Transformation reminds you of what is possible. It reminds you that you can achieve anything you set your heart to. And for me, that transformation is me standing before you today. 5 years ago, I never in a million years would have imagined I would be doing keynote engagements. Never. I never would have dreamed that I'd be running my own company, helping amazing women step into their fullest potential, helping to make the world a better place. Yet here I am. And through this adversity, I learned to step into my power. And that has given me the opportunity to do what I do now. I think it's important to remember that with transformation, we can't be in protection and growth at the same time. We have to find ways, like I said, we have to utilize strategies that move us towards growth, towards opportunity, and towards potential. And so what I want to say here is that life is messy and it's okay, right? So many people want it to be neat and tidy, like the pencil crayons on the left, but the real life is like the painter's palette on the right. Full of colors that bleed into one another, colors that mix and match. And honestly, there's no telling which color will run into the next. And that, ladies, that is what makes life beautiful. You need to lean into the mess, what I now call the beauty of life, and discover what life truly has to offer you. The thing about messy, though, that I do need to say is that at times it can be scary, and I get that. we can become fearful of the mess and try to avoid it. But by allowing our fear to take over, you're placing a ceiling on your own capabilities. Believe in possibilities, to believe that you are capable, that you are beautiful, that you are magical, and that you can have all of your dreams come true. I want to offer you one last strategy in moving through adversity, and that is to listen to your heart, ladies. Listen to your heart. When you can clear space and truly listen to the messages your heart shares with you, it won't lead you astray. Listening to my heart brought me here today. It brought me to Farah. It brought me to Gaia's. And for that, I'm so grateful.
You touched so many of us. And want everyone to leave here today to remember that life is messy, that your life is going to turn out the way that it's destined to be, not the way that you envisioned it.